And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to our summer school. Matter of fact, school is in session. We're going to be reviewing summer school scene by scene. I have my good friend Beth from the TV podcast. So let's go on ahead. Let's do this. I can't wait to dive into this movie. It's one of my favorite movies. So let's do this, guys. And hey, Beth, welcome back to the show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me back, especially for this one. I'm so excited. I love this movie.
I do too. And I wanted to ask you this, like when it
Yes.
comes down to summer school too, like for nostalgia and stuff like that, when was like the first time for you that's seen summer school? Because I'm curious about that.
So it came out in 87. I would have been a high school senior, or maybe even graduated. So it was a big, I really um, felt like, yeah, I understood the characters so much because I was that age. So I would have seen it in the movie theaters. Like literally, I saw movies all the time in the theaters back then. I loved to go to the movies, and Mark Harmon was a big star back then, or he still is today, but he was back then. So this was a pretty big movie, and for me, all the nostalgia was coming out.
Okay. And out of 10, what would you give this? Like if you
I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard to tell. It's so hard to judge that. But I will say, for an '80s movie, it hit all the '80s comedy stuff, and it wasn't super offensive. We've talked about movies that maybe had some scenes that could not be put in a movie today or would not, and the really wasn't. I mean, we can talk a little bit about one of the things that might seem a little eh, but it didn't
right.
end up being icky. But so for me, for an '80s comedy, I would put it at a good solid 9 because
Okay.
everybody had somebody to relate to in that movie.
Exactly. I think in today's time, if you are a horror fan, you can relate to Chainsaw. You can relate to the two friends that that wants to be making horror movies and stuff like that. Or you
Yeah,
can
I
relate
love
to
that.
anybody else within the whole entire group itself.
Right, right. For teenagers, there was a lot of characters to be able to relate to. I thought, and I actually thought they did a really good job of humanizing the characters in a because there's so many characters in this film. It's hard to and it's a comedy, which they don't dig too deep into the characters, and they kind of didn't, but they did sort of give each character a chance to be human.
I definitely agree. It does pull on the fact that, the relatable, it's like everyday conversation bit with things though too. It doesn't feel forced. The Kirsty
No,
with Kirstie Alley and stuff I thought was really good. We'll get into
yeah,
that in a few minutes. But as far as me, I remember watching this as someone that's going to college. Like it came on DirecTV and I remember watching it. I remember the relatability of it about how I felt in high school at that time, and then going into college and watching summer school and relating myself to Chainsaw and his friend. And
yeah,
I was like, you know what? I wanted to just hang out with those guys because those guys
right,
who resembles me, and those are the relatabilities within the movie itself. Those are the two characters that stands out for me
yeah.
as far as summer school goes.
Well, I think the interesting thing is now they were clearly meant to be like the Wayne and Garth or like the Spicoli for everybody that knows Fast Times at Ridgemont High or Wayne's World. I mean, they clearly were meant to be sort of characters like that. But it's funny though because, and we can talk about this later, but they're like horror movie fanatics and their special effects. I mean, you can't be stupid and make the special effects that they made. I mean, and
No,
I,
the
I
special effects
understand
were
they didn't
awesome.
do it. Yeah, they didn't do it, but they were so good. It's hard to believe that, like, these kind of two, I don't know, not so serious dudes did that, but it was so clever. They were
Right,
very
because
likable.
that's what I love about them though is like their passion for horror is what that makes us believe that they can actually do something like that.
Right. And they
That's
were
something that I really
talented.
enjoy.
Right. They were really talented in that. I mean, they obviously had a great love of it. Obviously, they weren't. I mean, and I get that. When I was in high school, John, I watched a lot of horror movies, and so the '80s were kind of the ramping up to the direct to video, And there were some really good horror movies that were made. There were some really terrible horror movies that were made. But I used to come home like on Friday afternoon and run down to the video store and rent, horror movies. That's pretty much the genre I watched my junior and senior year in high school. So I kind of like got that. I loved horror movies. I don't watch them as much as I used to. I still enjoy them, but I just really I got what they saw in them.
I do too. I definitely do. And as a matter of fact, my parents would watch horror movies and stuff like that. I would actually watch horror movies as well.
Yeah.
And then just that cheesy 80s kind of flavor to horror movies as well. That's something that I really thought that really stuck with me with Chainsaw and his friend. And so as far as nostalgia goes, it has to be like an 8.8 because of the fact that, I fell in love with this movie when I was in college. And
Yeah.
then after I graduated high school. So you would think that I would actually see this when I was in high school so I can relate to it, but it still has legs enough for me to relate to it.
Right.
It's like, you know what? I was them in high school. And now I'm transforming from a teenager to a man to try and get a career.
Yeah.
But at that time, though, I'm just laughing my ass off and just stuffing popcorn in my face for 90 minutes and just enjoying the ride that I got with summer school. So, yeah, I would have to put an 8.8 out of 10 for me as far as nostalgia goes.
It sort of surprises me a little bit. I don't know how well this movie did, but people saw it. I know that a lot of people liked it. I'm kind of surprised they didn't make. Did they make a Summer School 2? If they did, it didn't have original characters, but I'm surprised they didn't.
It was profitable, though.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know this until today that Danny Elfman actually did the music for it.
That was about the time. So Danny Elfman I think he became really famous he was already famous from Oingo Boingo, but I think the first movie he did the full movie for was the Batman, right? The original, the Michael Keaton Batman.
He did that in 89.
So he was already like working his way up to that when he was doing these other things. The other thing that surprised me is that this was directed by Carl Reiner. I don't know why that surprises me at all. It shouldn't, but it does, because it seems like even too silly for him almost.
Right, because that's kind of weird if you actually think about it in that context, But matter of fact, we were talking about how much it made. So it had 35.5 million at the box office.
That's
and it made
what was the budget?
Let's see here. The budget for it.
I'm curious because it had Mark Harmon, Kirstie Alley. They were both big stars at the time. Carl Reiner directed. Danny Elfman did the music. So I feel like it was a fairly big budget for a comedy.
To be honest with you, too, Danny also was actually in the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh.
He was actually the band in the background.
Yeah.
And stuff. Richard was in there too, and stuff like that. I forgot the name of the band. It's like Bongo something.
Boingo Boingo.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, that was the original band that he had. And I want to say in the 70s, but the early 80s, they had a lot of videos on MTV. But then, I don't know, just to go on a little segue, he kind of got canceled because he wrote this sort of super creepy song called I Love Little Girls.
I didn't know that.
And there was a super creepy video on MTV, and there was a lot of backlash because that's kind of creepy. But he did that, and that's kind of when the band broke up. And then from there, he started doing like the composing for TV and movies, which he's still doing, right? I mean, I think
he did
still
the
very
Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
Wednesday.
right.
Yeah, for Netflix, he did Wednesday. Not only that, but he still has a very good music career still. Because matter of fact, I have his sister-in-law Anastasia on the podcast with me doing the Dexter reviews.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I got to interview Richard and also Anastasia. So I got to interview Richard and also Anastasia.
That's so cool.
It was awesome to be able to talk to them. But Danny has so much pull on my childhood.
Yeah.
That I mean I pretty much grew up with Danny.
Yeah.
Throughout his music career.
Yeah. But I just remember how much I loved the movie for that Batman film.
Oh, the scoring for Batman
Yeah, I don't know
1989.
why I said the movie for the Batman, the
It's
score
okay.
for the
It's okay.
Batman.
But this was in '87, so it was 3 years old when this movie came out.
Yeah,
Then fast forward 2 years later, and I get to see Batman for the very first time on the screen, and Danny Elfman is actually doing the theme
yeah.
for
And it was
Batman,
a
and he's also
really
doing
big
the theme for
deal.
right.
Yeah, I mean that movie was a really big deal, but so was the score because it's so beautiful. And I mean, we don't really have scores like that today in a lot of movies. Not like you saw in the 80s where you
Definitely
like
not.
would run out to buy the album because of the music in the movie. You know what I mean? That wasn't a
Right.
soundtrack for like obviously everybody runs out to buy Grease or whatever, but like Batman is not a musical, but people love the music. And Star Wars, same thing. I think that's amazing, and I'm glad that is something that people like remember.
Same here. But it was good to actually see Danny's name in the title. And of course, I ended up using that song for TikTok for the promo for it because I'm like, I just
Nice.
think it was just very fitting. But so now that we talked about this nostalgically, and I also want to mention this to you guys if you want to watch this movie, it's actually streaming on Pluto for free.
Right.
So you get to watch it, even though you have to go through commercials. But still, with Pluto, it was free. I got the chance to watch it. So check it out on Pluto. But now that we actually talked about this nostalgically, we're going to remove this nostalgia. And now we're going to talk about summer school.
Woo-hoo.
So, welcome to the podcast where the only subject on the syllabus is movies. And yes, this is one's definitely pass or fail. Today, we're reviewing Summer School, the 80s comedy that proves you can ditch class, flunk tests, and still somehow graduate, as long as you've got a teacher who'd rather be surfing a classroom full of misfits and two horror obsessed kids who make Leatherface look like a substitute teacher. So sharpen your pencils, hide your report cards, and pray you don't get stuck in summer school with us. Because the only thing that we're teaching here is dad jokes and movie trivia.
Woo-hoo.
So, scene one. Here we go. On the last day of school before summer vacation, physical education teacher Freddie Shoup is preparing to leave on vacation to Hawaii with his girlfriend Kim. Vice Principal Phil Gills, played by Robin Thomas, informs several underachieving students, including easily distracted Pam and Larry, a male stripper, football jock Kevin, pregnant Rhonda, geeky Alan, and dyslexic Denise, intimidating Jerome, and two horror film obsessed underachievers, Dave and Francis, aka Chainsaw,
Chainsaw.
that they must attend summer school for Riddle English. So I like how this movie sets up where you actually get introduced to Shoop, and you can definitely tell no teachers want to have this gig.
Yeah.
They're trying to get the hell out of school before anybody could see them. Nobody wants to do this. Even the students don't even want to do this. But so I like how it opens up where everybody is basically just trying to hit the road for the summer. You have the students throwing away their notebooks and stuff, just typical 80s trope. And then, you get into this whole entire thing. Well, I don't have anyone to teach summer school. And then everybody's peeling out of the parking lot. And here's Shoop trying to get out because he knows what's about to happen.
And he's about to go to Hawaii, so he literally runs behind a bush. It's hilarious.
Right? Because he goes, hold on 1 second, Kim. He goes behind the bush, and then his dog follows suit behind him. And so the principal is like, look, nobody else is going to be teaching summer school. We need you to do summer school, but I'm going to Hawaii. So that put him having no choice but to do the summer school gig. And then also, too, we also asked him, so, things changed. So we're not going to be able to go. She goes, no, I'm still going. You're just going to, he goes, but I thought you loved me. He goes, if I didn't love you or like you, I wouldn't get you to drive me to the airport now, would I? I'm like, damn. I'm like, okay.
She also was gone like
yeah.
the whole summer. I'm like, who goes to Hawaii for the whole summer? I mean, maybe people do, but I just thought that was really funny. I'm like, I see go for a week or two, but geez,
especially
crazy.
on a budget for teachers.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because Shoop is very clear that he is not a teacher. He doesn't want to be a teacher. He just wants to collect the paycheck and teach gym. That's it.
Right. That's all he is.
And
If
he
you think
says it
about it,
through the
though,
movie.
I have a question. When you were in high school or
Yeah.
junior high, right? Did you have gym teachers that were just there as like a substitute teacher and they had no business being a substitute teacher?
I just really don't even remember our gym teachers. I just remember like hating gym class because we had a run. And then in high school, we had a swim, and I hated all of it. I hated gym class. I still do.
Well, my friend Chris, who's actually in the chat over on Instagram, he can vouch for me on this because our school, they would make these poor gym teachers substitute us.
Oh, geez.
And so I feel for him just like Shoop and everything too, because Shoop is not a teacher. He's a gym teacher. That's all he knows how to do.
Yeah.
So we don't know how to teach.
No.
So you're asking this gym teacher who doesn't know how to teach anybody to teach.
Right.
And then he's trying to learn how to teach just as the students are trying to learn from him.
Yeah.
And he don't know what to do.
He doesn't know what to do. And that's where we meet Ms. Bishop.
Yeah. But I definitely like how he hits on Miss Bishop. I like how he winds up doing that. He goes, "So, do you want to go out for Chinese food?" He goes, "I don't like Chinese." "Okay, well, do you want to go out and not have Chinese food then?"
He keeps trying the whole movie till the bitter end. He's working her.
Right, because she even mentions this to him though too. She's like, "When have I known you not to quit? Even whenever I wasn't interested, you still hit on me." So does that mean you'll go out to dinner? No. Okay.
No.
But I like the back and forth chemistry with them too. It
Yeah,
definitely works.
chemistry.
Yeah.
But they had
go
a
on
lot
ahead.
of really good lines too. Like, you know what I mean? Like the lines they had felt really easy between them. But we also have Vice President Gills doing the 80s trope of we got to have a bad guy in this movie. And they did a pretty good job of setting him up to be the bad guy, especially because Ms. Bishop starts dating him, which upsets
Right. And he
Ms.
doesn't
Bishop.
even know that he's even dating this guy at all.
Right. Not
And he's like,
on.
"Oh, you're dating the tight ass."
I love that. It's
And
so funny.
she goes, what did you say about? "Oh, I mean, you're not a tight ass. You're a nice guy. How are you?" But I like how all these kids are not used to Shoop or anything, and they're like, "Look, I'm not even supposed to be here." And I like how everybody in the room is not supposed to be there, just as Shoop is not supposed to be there. And they're along for this ride like we are, and we're in this classroom with them. And then finally, he's like, "You know what? I just gotta bribe these kids."
Right. And it works, right?
Right. But what did you think of the introduction? I'm sorry, Beth. I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
What did you think of the introduction of the kids, though, when you first see them?
I thought it was really pretty good. I thought, you got to know them. There were so many students especially that first day. So it was kind of like a little chaotic, you know what I mean? When you first meet them. But then once, I might be jumping ahead, but once we get to was it the second day when half the students didn't even show up?
Well, the first day, Chainsaw takes Shoop's keys, and then he's trying to look for his keys, and Chainsaw's like, "Oh, you're getting cold. Oh, warm. You're getting warmer. Warmer. Oh, nope. You're cold again. Oh, you almost had it. Oh, nope." So they're fooling around with Shoop, and Shoop is getting angry, just as he should be. Then you have this one student who asked to go to the bathroom.
He got the big pass.
Right. He goes, "This is worse than the gas station."
And then he leaves and never comes back. But neither
You're
does
right. We don't even know.
class.
He doesn't come back until the very end.
I know. I was surprised. I had forgot. It's been a long time since I've seen this movie all the way through because I know the end. So if it's on, sometimes I just don't watch the end. I had forgotten he came back and then he had the pass.
He still has the pass in his hands.
That was so funny.
And then on top of that, I like how Shoop is actually thinking he's like a little small dude, but he's a big, tall person.
Yeah,
and
he's really big.
He's like, he's like, "Look, here's the pass. Go on ahead, do your thing, and that's it." Come to find out, he had trouble zipping his pants up. That was his
That's
issue.
what he said. Well, and it's the other funny thing about that is Mark Harmon is a former football player, so he's a pretty big guy himself. He's over 6 feet tall. So when this guy stands up and he's towering over Mark Harmon, that was kind of funny.
Right, and then my friend Chris says that guy had a really bad number 2.
It took him a while. He gets constipated, right?
Right, he just needed some X-Lax and he'd be good to go. But I like the introduction to these characters and liking the fact that they're busting his balls the whole entire time, just as high schoolers do, because we all do it as high schoolers. So
and he puts up with it pretty well.
He does. Any other teacher would have snapped.
Yeah.
So in a way, I guess it's kind of good that they have a gym teacher in there instead of a regular teacher.
Yeah, I think it kind of worked out because with the bribing, they were all motivated to learn, and they did. Kind of.
Right? Because he's like, well, what did you do to make them learn? I had a bribe them. Well, what did you do? Well, they ended up doing field trips. They did a bunch of other stuff. We'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, on his first day, Stroop meets Robin Bishop, Christy Alley, who is teaching history next door. Stroop falls for her, but she is already dating Gills. Stroop's first day is a disaster, but most of the students do not attend. Jermone goes to the bathroom and doesn't return. A beautiful Italian transfer student. Going ahead.
No, I was just laughing because it was funny when he just went to the bathroom. But there were other students, right, that left and never came back the next day. I thought there were more students in the class.
No, I think it was just Jerome, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I thought it was more, but okay.
Unless you're just, not unless they're like, okay, well, we need to get these main cast in there, so we're just going to have all these extras to fill the seats and then let them go.
Maybe I'm wrong because he was doing that whole hot cold thing, so there was just so much going on screen.
Right.
I might have just missed that altogether, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, and then you also have, but I also like how, I cannot hear what my students have to say or anything. I like how Chrissy Ellie is like, look, I can't hear my students with all this cussing that's going on. Why is everybody cussing? And he goes, oh, psychology. We're learning how to cuss, and it's like reverse psychology. Well, can you guys do this with sign language instead of doing it that way? And then everybody starts doing it in the way that she wants. He goes, very good, very good. As long as we understand each other, we're good. So I thought that was pretty cool on how Chrissy Alley's actually handling the situation. And then she walks out, and then it goes in the next day where we have, where we wind up having a beautiful Italian transfer student named Anna Marie. And she arrives and will be learning English, much to the delight of Dave and Chainsaw.
Yeah, they're hitting on her all the rest of the summer. They're trying. She's oblivious. She has no idea what's going on.
No, and like, we're going to do this in your honor. We're going to help you. And he goes, have you ever seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? What's that? Don't worry. You don't have to worry about that. By the way, I like pizza, though. I like Chef Boyardee. You like Chef Boyardee? Oh, and the can is a little mushy. So, but yeah, they don't give up, just like Shoop doesn't give up on hitting on someone.
Yeah, no, they do not give up. They really want to get to know Anne Marie or really teach her English.
Right, and by the way, you are right about this. After the remaining students attempt to leave class as well, Shoop admits he has no idea how to teach them. Rather than studying, he asks the students to spend their first few days having fun and going to the beach, a theme park, and a petting zoo until Gil finds out.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about that was when he's like, okay, we can do field trips. When you go home and ask your parents, and when you can get your permission slips. And in the meantime, they're all writing permission slips, and they all hand them slips that they've signed, that they've like forged their parents' name on. It's so funny because we did the same thing all the time.
Right.
In my high school, they actually had like, our parents had to sign a piece of paper. So they had all the parent signatures on file. And so you had to like practice your parents' signature and their handwriting in order to actually get away with it.
You see, what we did was we traced our parents' signature.
Yeah, that's
and did
smart.
It that way when we wanted to stay at somebody's house or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I remember this big old huge commotion that happened on my school bus where two of my friends, one of them wanted to crash at his house. It's like, okay, well, I have a note from my parents. And then the bus driver's just looking at it and goes, okay, I believe you. Just like Shoop does. And then the next day it comes out and bites him in the ass at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I liked how, I like how he goes, okay, you're cool. Okay, got signatures. Okay, we're going to go. So they go to the theme park. The nerdy kid throws up. He's also having allergies to the petting zoo.
Poor Alan.
And then the Rolling Stones t-shirt with that Shoop has is being eaten up by the goat.
And he got mad about that.
Right?
He's
because
like,
remember, that's whenever the girl, because remember what he says, well, I'll grant everyone one wish. And the girl who's just staring out the window looking at, and they're like, well, I'm wondering, why is she staring out the window the whole time? And come to find out, she's a surfer. She loves to surf.
Yeah.
And he goes, I got to go, Shoop. He goes, why? I'm on my period. Yeah. He goes, okay, say no more. Say no more. So she goes out.
He gets mad. He's like, I can't remember what he said, but he's like, girls get away with that. They're so lucky or whatever.
And then here comes the other girl and goes, oh, we're so lucky, huh?
Yeah.
And then 5 minutes later, here comes the security guard, and she has a surf gear on, getting ready to surf.
Yeah. So she gets busted, but Shoop doesn't even really care that much.
No.
But when Shoop gets his little shirt eaten by the goat, Pam, that was Courtney Thorne-Smith's character, she's like, oh, I can sew this. And that kind of starts, you can kind of see that Pam has a crush on Mr. Shoop, which probably a lot of girls did. It's, Mark Harmon, he's a good looking guy, younger guy, whatever. So I think it's kind of natural for a student to have a crush on a teacher.
Right. Because I've seen it all the time in our high school. We actually had a young 23-year-old teacher named Mr. Pittman and stuff. And girls were always gung-ho with him because of the fact that he looked like Tom Green. Yeah. So yeah, there was actually that little relatability where I remember girls being attracted to him just as they're also being attracted to Shoop. And, Shoop is like just blowing it off. It's like, okay, this is just a teenage thing that she's going through. And remember what he's, look, I'll grant one person a wish and that's it. So Chainsaw's like, well, what's your wish? I'll know whenever I see it. I have to tell Shoop in private though. Yeah. But then you also have the chainsaw, they wind up wishing for Texas Chainsaw Massacre to be played inside the classroom and things like that. But what did you think of the whole petting zoo thing?
It's so funny. I mean, I just thought that, especially with the goat eating the shirt and Alan's just kind of, I think it really kind of showed all the characters' true colors, right? I guess at this point we already know too that Rhonda is pregnant. We forgot to mention that. So, right. like at some point, I forget, it was at the very beginning of the movie, and Mr. Shoop asked her a question, and she stands up, and you see she's pregnant. I can't remember what he asked her, and so you're kind of like, oh, okay, so now she's pregnant. So the rest of the movie is sort of like, she's very pregnant.
Right.
She's like 8 months pregnant when the movie starts.
Yeah, she's very pregnant, and I don't know how she's riding those rides if she's pregnant. Or anything?
I don't even think you're supposed to. I don't know.
No.
When I was pregnant with twins. I was on bed rest, so I don't know how the normal pregnancies work.
But I think she was doing the petting zoo thing, if I'm not mistaken, though. Instead, I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, they all kind of were at the petting zoo, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, the petting zoo. You had a lot of stuff going on in that too for that montage.
Yeah. I love. You gotta love the '80s montage. There's nothing better than an 80s montage. Just all of them are so good.
And then Alan's grandmother is what messed up the whole entire thing.
Yeah, because she got mad because Alan was it because he was sick or because of the allergies? I can't remember.
The allergies from the petting zoo.
From the goats or whatever.
Right. Because my grandson had an allergy to the field trip that Shoop put him on. Well, where did they go? They went to a theme park, and they also went to a petting zoo. And so this just gives more flair for them to try to suspend Shoop and stuff and do things to him.
Yes.
As well. But
because they have to pass this test at the end of the summer. That's what and so he's supposed to be teaching them how to, like, the skills to pass this test, and nobody wants to learn, and he doesn't want to teach. So petting zoo it is.
right, it's like, you know what? We're gonna have fun this summer.
Right.
So the other thing that they make them do is like, okay, so there's gotta be the other thing that they wanted was Chainsaw wanted the foreign exchange student in a bikini. Huh?
Oh, go ahead. I thought one of them wanted the party at the 4th of July party.
It was Chainsaw.
Was it? Okay.
Party, but since it's only two of them, they get two wishes.
That's
so
right.
one, they wanted the party. The other one wanted the Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing. But also, too, later on, to come to find out, too, they also wanted the foreign exchange student in a bikini on the beach.
That's right. That's right.
And then at that point, the foreign exchange student's trying to take her top off. And then you have the other girl that interrupts her as she's trying to take her top off. She goes, no, we don't do that here. Oh.
Yes. Because in Europe, that is very common. In fact,
right.
When my husband and I go to South Beach, there are beaches down there that they do have topless sunbathing, because there's a lot of people that come from Europe to go to South Beach. So so for her, it would have been a natural thing to do. And so she's like, no, you can't do that here.
And then Chainsaw and his friend is both angry at her. He goes, okay, that sucked.
Isn't that the scene where they get in trouble for drinking too? I can't remember. No,
that's a little bit afterwards. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now we have, after the remaining students attempt to leave. Okay, so Gil threatens to shoot unless he. Okay, so after the remaining students attempt to leave class as well, Shoop admits he has no. Okay, so Gil threatens to fire Shoop unless the students pass the end of term test. Shoop promises each teen a favor if they study. The kids agree, so Shoop gives Denise driving lessons, which is a big mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Accompanies Rhonda to Lemez classes, gives Kevin football lessons, allows Dave to throw a party at his house, gives Larry a bed in the classroom, lets Chainsaw arrange a screening of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in class, and allows Pam to move in with him, which is a 16-year-old girl. Yeah. We'll get into that a little later, but...
That's the sort of maybe iffy part of the movie. I was thinking that, like, maybe today, but he never crossed the line. He never even ogled her or anything creepy like that. She just needed a place to live because her sister, she's living with her sister. Well, we'll talk about it.
Right. Because then you find out what the living situation is with her. Yeah. But let's talk about the fact that, you're teaching this kid, the other girl, how to drive. You're teaching, let's see here. You're teaching, what's the girl's name?
Denise?
Denise, driver? Yeah. You're teaching Denise how to drive. The girl is bad at driving. Even
She's
Chainsaw.
The worst.
Yeah.
No. I mean, and he had a classic car. Well, I don't even know what it was, but it was a really old convertible. But he's letting her drive his car.
Yeah, and then Chainsaw and them gets out. He goes, "This is not a good idea. This is the reason why I drink."
Right. That's the reason, Chainsaw. Just kidding. Yeah, because she's really terrible. She doesn't even know how to stay in the road.
No, she doesn't stay in the road. She bangs into stuff. And, no wonder why this girl fails. But then you find out that she has a learning disability and she's dyslexic.
Right. Because later on we'll probably get to that about how we find out she's dyslexic.
Right. We'll get into that a little later. But then you have Rhonda to Lemmy's class. Then you have Rhonda who's pregnant. So Shoop actually takes her to the breathing classes for her pregnancy.
Yeah, because she doesn't have a Lamaze partner and she goes to sign up and they're like, who's your partner? And she doesn't have one. So she asks Shoop, who ends up not being her partner the rest of the movie, but we'll find out that later. So she does.
I like how they make those changes in the movie, though. I definitely like how it goes from being a Shoop, then going to someone her own age.
Right.
So I like how they do the transformation of that, where you have a little bit of a teen romance within the classroom itself, or a friend in the classroom to help with certain situations. So I like those little moments where you can have that. Then I also like the fact too, where when she's going in to try and get the classes, she's like, "Well, who's the father?" Well, either it's the people from the Rolling Stones, or it's what's the other guy's name? Sean Penn.
Yeah,
Either it's Sean Penn.
Yeah, and the lady's
So
like, "Here's the form, just fill it out."
right. And then you also have Dave. They want to throw a party at Shoop's house, which is another big mistake, because they accidentally get the couch caught on fire with the fire sprinkler, because Shoop's dog winds up bringing the sprinkler back in after throwing it off the porch.
Yeah, they have these. I think they were homemade, weren't they? They made Dave and Chainsaw made these homemade.
Yeah, they were homemade fireworks.
Yeah, and so they threw it to go off, and then Shoop's dog goes up, gets it, and brings it back, and everybody's freaking out because the thing's gonna go off any second, and it ends up starting his couch on fire, and it's mayhem. And then Shoop puts it out with a fire extinguisher, and then he's like, "Party's over."
And then remember too, they also take the fish bowl.
That's right, his fish dice. Yeah, to throw it into the.
At that moment, he was pissed. He went from being calm to being pissed off, which he has every right to be, because these kids basically are using him.
Right.
And Shoop knows that they're using him, but he's also using them too to get what he wants out of them, which is an education. So they're both fitting off each other. But at the same time, though, his stuff is getting destroyed by these kids.
Right. And that's probably another sort of inappropriate thing to have a party. Nobody was drinking alcohol. I mean, they might have been drinking alcohol, but he wasn't giving them beer or anything. So it wasn't like a big drinking party. Everybody seemed to be having fun. Today, back in the 80s, that might not have been so inappropriate, but today it would certainly be a line. You're not allowed to hang out with your student. I mean, I grew up in a really small town, so it was impossible not to go to teachers' houses sometimes, because your friends were their kids, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I had a lot of friends whose parents were teachers, so sometimes you'd end up at their house. They never threw parties, but you can't always avoid that. But he welcomed it, but it ended not great. He didn't have a couch anymore.
But you also have to think of it like this, though, too. You also have the other student that's in Shoop's bedroom, and she's hitting on him hard. Like, she's like, just think of it like this, Shoop. Your girlfriend will be 60, and everything, and I'll still be young. He goes, and I'll be 71. Let's go on ahead and let's party. Let's go back to the party.
Yeah, that was Pam, who ends up living with him, so that was weird. And she's referring to this is when he's hitting on Ms. Bishop, but he's still got the girlfriend in Hawaii.
Right. But
and that's the girlfriend she's referring to, because she had her picture on the side, he had the picture on the bedside or whatever.
Right. He still had a picture of Kim, but I think at the same time, though, he knows that relationship's over with, because that girl is in Hawaii.
Yeah. And she's been gone all summer. She's gone for 6 or 8 weeks.
Right. So there's no point of even trying to even think about her when she's out probably with another guy or something. Right. It's summer romance type of thing and things like that too. So it's like, okay, why should I reminisce about this? I'm here. This is my situation. I'm just going to make fun of this situation and enjoy myself. And so happens to be Christy Alley Miss Bishop is actually someone that he finds attractive, which I don't blame him. I find Christy Alley a lot more attractive than Kim.
Yeah.
Honest.
Yeah.
But
and they had really good chemistry. They had a lot of real chemistry in this film too, so that didn't hurt at all.
My friend Chris says, sounds like my kids at Mario Kart with the whole entire firecracker thing. In the 80s and 90s, it was us sneaking off. Yep, it was.
Yep, it's true.
But yeah, I definitely like how Shoop handles the situation. I like how he winds up taking her back to the party. She's pissed off at him. And then after that happens, you have after that, you have seeing he is still floundering as a teacher. Robin tells Shoop to make learning fun. Shoop begins to grow closer to the kids. They study to pass their English basic skills exam, worried that Gil is going to fire Shoop unless all the students pass. Shoop is arrested when he covers Chainsaw and Dave after they are found in possession of alcohol. Robin and Gills bail him out of jail. So there you go. So what do you want to talk about as far as that goes?
Well, so that's kind of funny that like he's kind of mad at them because they're drinking. Dave and Chainsaw are at the beach, and I'm sure that happens all the time, right? Teenagers are at the beach, they're going to get drunk, and so he gets arrested, and he's got to get bailed out of jail. I mean that was one of the like serious scenes in the film. There aren't a lot of them, but that one is kind of close as you could get. But the kind of funny part is that he's like, okay, field trip on Monday. We gotta go to court. So he tells them all that he's gotten arrested for this, and they're all like, oh no.
But I like how the fact he's trying to make fun of the situation, but at the same time he's like, look, I'm going to teach you about the court system because it's your fault that I have to go to court. So guess what? We're going to make a field trip out of this to make it about life lessons of what happens when you get caught.
Right. And I don't know, like, I don't know that Dave and Chainsaw really learned their lesson or actually felt all that bad.
No, because remember, he goes, I've been sober for 2 days and 24 hours. Or something to that effect.
Something like that.
But, I like how Dave, because this is Shoop, he's just minding his own business. He's rollerblading or skating.
Yeah, he's just skating down
Right.
That was really big in the 80s.
Right. And he's just with the shirt off, having a good time. He sees Dave and Chainsaw. And then this cop comes by just randomly because Shoop just stops to talk to his students for a minute. And he's like, well, do you know these guys? Yeah, they're my students and everything. I'm just here talking. He goes, well, you do know that they're underage. And he goes, whose liquor is this? Oh, that's mine. I was letting them watch my stuff until I got back. Thank you for watching my stuff. He goes, yeah, you're welcome. Not a problem. I'm glad we were able to watch your stuff for you. He goes, but it was probably a bad idea to take a couple of sips out of it and stuff. But, oh, yeah, this is bad. Drinking is very bad. I'm never going to drink again. And then, then they bail. And then at that point, the police officer arrests him on his roller skates.
Yeah.
And
I forgot that. He's on his roller skates on his way to jail.
Hold on, it gets better, too, because the dog is following him. And he goes, is this your dog? No, why? That dog's not mine. He goes, because this beach, you can't have dogs on it. No, this is a beach dog. I don't know why he's following me. This is a beach dog. I have no idea. And then they put him in prison, and he's in his rollerblades. That has to be embarrassing.
It was so funny because he's on his rollerblades in the jail. That was really funny. That was pretty clever. I mean, it just made me laugh so much. And then when he got out, he's like trying to go down the stairs on his skates as they're leaving. And if you've ever done that, it takes a lot of skill to do stairs in your skates.
First of all, I would fall and bust my ass.
It is very hard.
I'm clumsy.
Me too.
And then also too, whenever he calls Gil and Robin up, they're about to head out of town to go to some winery.
Yeah, they're going together on some weekend vacation. Well, he didn't call Gil's. He called Robin.
No, he called Robin, but it just happens to be
he happened
Gil
to be
was there.
So he came along. And then Gil's was trying to use it as fuel to get him fired. So because now apparently Shoop is up for tenure, and Gil's is working to get him fired, not get tenure at all. And then Gil's later on thinks he actually has the opportunity to do so.
Right. And I just thought, he was, and I know you're with that, and I hope that you're not with that tightwad. Gil.
And then didn't he take the phone and say something like the tightwad is here or something like that?
Yeah, he said it. Yes, the tightwad is here. Yeah. Oh, hi, Gil. How are you? But yeah, and then Gil's eventually expressed his true self to Robin when he states he cares nothing for Shoop or his students, and she overhears him, causing her to storm off. Larry loses his stripper job, which we find out why he's been falling asleep in class. Is because of
and that's an accident too, because Shoop goes to the strip club. Does he think it's a women's strip club or something, and it's men's night?
That's
or
what I was confused about.
They never tell you why he's there. He just they cut and he's there.
I told him, I was, you know what, Brandy and I were both watching it, but I didn't say anything to her. But I thought to myself, you know, is he at? I'm like, if it's a woman's night and it clearly says women's night out on the thing, why would you go? Well, I understand why you would go, but as soon as you see a male stripper, I'm heading out the door.
Yeah, it was strange because they don't even say like why he went. Like, I mean, I know why you go, but it didn't say like there. All of a sudden, the scene cuts and he's there, and then out comes Larry, but you don't know it's Larry because he's wearing like a what do you call that? The
like a Zorro mask.
Yeah. So, he's stripping and I almost said Mark Harmon and Shoop, same thing, is like looking at him like he looks so familiar. And then he finds out that it's actually Larry. And at that point, he isn't fired yet. But then we find out later that Larry gets fired because his mom came to the strip club. And he's like, and she put $1 in.
He goes, yeah, it was kind of awkward when my aunt gave me a kiss and then my mom put $5 in my G-string. And then I'm like, but you know what, though? I was thinking to myself, okay, like, I was like, is this like a gay strip club or something? It was just kind of off. I mean,
it was weird that he was there. And there was no context for it. Like, he wasn't even like, hey, with his buddies going to the strip club to see women. He just was there. It was a strange segue. I don't know if they cut something.
I think it was just implied that he's a single person, so he wanted to try and get out. But at the same time, though, if you see a guy stripping and it's women's night, get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I mean, they should have kind of set up a reason, like, oh, he thought it was women's night, and as he walked in, he saw, and he thought it was like, it just was weird because he was in there and he was standing with some women, but they were like all middle-aged women. They weren't like the kind of women you'd think he'd hang out with. So I got the impression they didn't even know who he was. It was a very weird thing because it was just suddenly he was there.
Right. Exactly. So let's see. So Larry loses his stripper job when he found out that his aunt and mother, who are attending the club where he works at, the students make more demands on Snoop.
And he
quits his job in anger.
Yeah, he quits. He's done. He's like, you guys are taking advantage of me. You burned my couch. I'm out. And then he leaves.
Right, because not only that, but if you remember this, Chainsaw wrecks his car. That's what drew the line to.
Huh? Yes, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, not only do they burn his house, his couch, kill his fish, but Chainsaw also winds up destroying his car. All he had left was like the front bumper to it.
Yeah.
The good news is Denise passed her exam. That was a good thing.
Yeah, she passed it before the car was destroyed, I think, right?
Well, she was in another car.
Yeah, that's right. She was doing damage to other cars too throughout the whole thing. But yes, then it got ruined, and then he was like, "I'm done. I'm out." Because, I mean, how much more are you going to ruin?
Exactly, because it's like, okay, they're making more demands. I try to teach them. I try to do everything right by the book. It is not working out like I wanted it to. And then also too, I like how he did teach them how to write a letter to the cool dude's sunglasses.
Yeah, and then he got new. And you know what? That's actually something I used to teach in one of my classes, and I don't know if it works today. But if you write a letter to a company, and well, I used to teach students to write letters to companies to ask for free things, like not free. Like I had a student who wrote to like Kodak and asked for free film, and they sent it. Sometimes companies used to do that, like just as an incentive to try and get you. And it wasn't like a case of film. It was like, I don't know, a couple of rolls of film. But
right.
But you used to, that kind of worked back in the day.
Right. And then if you remember right, Snoop goes, well, just pretend that you're this company when you're not that company. I'm like, well, that's not going to work today because of Google, but
yeah, right. Exactly. Today that wouldn't work. And probably businesses don't really just give out like free stuff today. Like
will though.
Yeah, I think they probably would. Maybe if you reached out to them.
like for instance, I ended up before I wanted to do a sponsorship, for example, I was going to use AG1 as a sponsor. So I remember talking to the guy on the phone. I was like, "Look, I don't want to spend money on this product if it's not for me. So can I have some free examples?" So they sent me out free examples.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I tried it out. It's not for me. I didn't use it. But I like the fact that they were willing to go that extra mile
Yeah.
to let me try their product. So I know that this would be something that I would want to sell for them.
Right.
So, but the sunglasses that they had, there's like this one thing without no lenses. It has like little, and it's totally
Yeah.
80s, right?
Yeah.
With like the little, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. I just don't know how to describe them.
But, you know, I just thought that was pretty cool on how he taught him that. Uh,
And that's also how we find out Denise has dyslexia, because she asks Alan, the nerd, she's like, "Would you go through my letter and tell me what you think?" And he looked at it and he was really alarmed. So he showed it to Mr. Shoup, who showed it to Ms. Bishop, and she said, "Oh, Denise has dyslexia. Why hasn't anybody figured this out? Because this girl is 16 years old. She's about to pass a driver's test, and nobody has noticed this in all these years." So they end up getting her extra help at school too. Like she sees a special tutor to help her work through the dyslexia and find a way to make reading and writing work for her.
right? Because remember, she said, "Oh, I didn't write an essay or anything. I memorized it
I memorized it.
because some people mugged me."
Yeah, yeah. She didn't say my dog ate it, at least.
Yeah, and Shoop is like, "Yeah, it happens. It's one of those things. Okay,
Yeah,
go
I
sit
didn't even
down."
question it. And that's probably what she'd been doing, because she'd been struggling so much and didn't know. And that was really something that happened a lot in the 80s, especially with like things like dyslexia. There was no testing for it or anything like that. So I think sometimes that happened where people slipped through the cracks because they just didn't know. And people figure out ways to sort of cover that up. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because
because
you
the
don't know
school
what you
system
have.
failed her. Right.
Right. Totally failed her.
Then after that, let's see here. But then he's convinced to return when his students start feeling guilty about what they did and scare off Shoop's replacement with a series of glorious stunts reenacted of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
This is where we find out the brilliance of Dave and Chainsaw. So in comes this substitute teacher. I can't remember her name. She actually was in a very famous episode of The X-Files where she played, was it a substitute teacher? I don't even remember. But anyway, if you watch The X-Files, you know who this woman is. So anyway, she comes in and oh, everybody's like got some kind of prosthetic on that's like bloody, gushy, like there's eyeballs popping out, there's blood gushing everywhere. It's really, really impressive actually. And they're all like playing out a scene or scenes
Right.
from
They're just
Texas Chainsaw
reenacting
Massacre.
certain things. We have one of the girls hanging from the corner, and she's all decayed and everything. Then you have the pregnant girl that has her lips spread out like
Oh
this.
yeah, that was so gross.
That was pretty cool. And then we have this one thing where it looked like one of the students took one of the paper slicers and sliced his hand, and his hand is actually moving without a body.
Yeah, that
And
was
then
awesome too.
they did so much so much awesome makeup with this. Even whenever they did the petting zoo bit
Yeah.
with Anna, trying to impress her, because remember he because this is what they wind up doing. They wind up taking the bunnies and acting like the bunnies are
Oh,
ripping
that's right. Are biting their faces and they're running and they're screaming. And you can tell that once you realize what's going on, you can tell they're not real. But at the time, nobody could tell. So they come out of the petting zoo and they're like, ah, and they got the bunnies to their faces. And it looks like the bunnies are like eating their faces. It's really cool.
right. And now this is like they just got a big budget if you think about it,
Right.
because now they have the chainsaws. Then they also have the meat cleaver jackets on, and they're over there. Goes, oh, we're psychopaths, and
Well, you know that they probably already had those and were working on them for a long time because they were so obsessed with the movie. But it would have taken them a really long time to do all that other stuff. Like
right.
all the
That's a lot of
prosthetics and
planning.
stuff. Yeah. And if they were making them themselves, like I don't know if you Maybe in California you could go out and buy some of that. I'm not really sure. But like I'm in Wisconsin, you really wouldn't find that maybe on Amazon today. But back then you wouldn't have just been able to go to a store and find that. But maybe in LA because of the movie industry. But even still.
Well, even a zombie run that I was in, like I did a college zombie run where everybody painted their faces and stuff like that, and things like that. It took hours to get that prepped.
Yeah.
And ready.
It was a lot to work, but it worked because they got rid of the substitute within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
She was like, "I'm out. I'm not doing
like,
this."
You can have this. I'm done. You're not paying me enough for this.
Out.
And so now we have. Oh, by the way, I also like how the principal also goes into the classroom with the sunglasses that Shoop and them do. This is like before this.
Yeah.
And they're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and like, what do I need to even ask what this is? No, you don't. And he hands them the sunglasses.
That was really funny.
Then Shoop and his students then began to prepping for the tests in earnest, and even Ramon, who had gone to the bathroom weeks before, returns to the exam, goes smoothly despite Rhonda going into labor soon after it starts.
Yeah. She's like literally like, I'm not going anywhere till I'm done with this test.
She was determined. She went into labor and stuff. She's like, no, I'm determined to do this one way or the other.
She finished the test.
And then you have a Jerome who just comes back from the bathroom, returns the bathroom pass to Shoop. That was
so funny.
He goes, where were you? I was in the bathroom. He goes, all this time? He goes, I couldn't zip up my zipper. Oh. But then you have then Shoop and students preparing for the test. Okay, so Rhonda goes into labor. Not all of them pass, so Gil is ready to follow through with his firing. However, the parents of the students come to Shoop's defense because the students marked improvements. Principal Kelban grants
Kelban or something?
Yeah, something like that. Kelban. Yeah, Kelban. Grants Shoop tenure for his positive efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And that evening at sunset, Shoop and Robin are walking into the beach and begin kissing in the waves. And that's it.
That ending, that scene at the end kind of reminded me of, like, it was so silly. It was really silly, even though it wasn't supposed to be that silly. It reminded me of it, like, it felt like a scene out of that one Val Kilmer movie we watched. What was that called? Top Secret.
Yeah, Top Secret.
Didn't it kind of feel like it's just felt silly like that? And
it's
then
very 80s. It has that very 80s vibe.
Yeah, because quite frankly, it's not that romantic to make out on the beach. There's a lot of sand.
Right? But I want to also talk about this, though, too, because we didn't mention the girls, the parents and stuff like that, about having the kids. The reason why she wanted Shoop to stay at Shoop's house, and matter of fact, we also have Christy Alley's character winds up questioning why is she there.
Yeah, she comes over, but I wanted to say her real name, Courtney Smith. Pam, like, it was weird though, because she's like, "Do you mind if I live here?" And he's like, "Okay, I don't care." And he wasn't interested in her. It wasn't like that at all. It was
first he's kind of hesitant though.
Of course, I think he was, because he knows it was inappropriate. But then her sister and the kids and her brother-in-law were there. And
right,
like,
because
okay,
remember?
Bye.
Well, remember this. At first, Shoop thinks that she's by herself.
Yeah.
And she's like, and he goes, "Okay, you can stay." Then next thing you know it, she goes, "Okay, he said I can stay." And then like, "Okay, totally. Okay, cool." So
they're backing up like, bye. Because they had like 4 kids in very little room.
Right. And then don't forget, Kirstie Alley is also comes in, and she goes, "Shoop, what are you doing? This is very inappropriate. This is not." And he's like, "What? She needed a place to stay. This was part of the bargain. I told you that I bargained with them." Like, yeah, but how far are you willing to go with your bargains? So he winds up telling her, "Hey, look, I'm not interested in you like that or anything. It's not the right thing to do." And then towards the end of it, she goes, "Know what? whenever they start trying to bribe him to come back, because they're still in their masker costumes and stuff. Like, you know what, Shoop? I lost interest in you. You were just a flare.
Yeah.
You know, I hope you can handle it. Yeah, I think I can.
I'll be okay. I'll be fine. I think he was relieved. But it was weird because they never said where she ended up going either.
No, they really didn't. But I
Oh,
also like how the girl that is pregnant, about how, she's like, look, I wasn't ready to be a mother or anything like that, so I gave it up for adoption.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that was really cool.
Yes, I love that. That was a kind of movie though. At that point, I was kind of like, I wish they would have done like some kind of like fictional little update to find out what happened to these people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to know what happened. Did Ron and Kevin get together?
Right, because you would think they would though, because of everything that they've been through. But I thought it was cool.
And they were bonded, and they were together at the end. Like they were sitting together when she told the whole group that she gave the baby up for adoption.
Right, and then also too, let's talk about the grades, and then we'll end it with that.
Yeah.
Because so 70. So basically, Chainsaw had a 6, and then he gets up to a 70. Dave feels. Then you have Jerome, who never even showed up for class, being a 96.
Yeah, he had the highest score, I think, right?
Yeah, he had the highest score. And then you also have what else? Then you have Dave, who's mad at Chainsaw for scoring high. He goes, look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pass. I can try really hard to fail. Then you also have the nerdy kids who passed as well.
Yeah, so most of the students didn't pass, but all of them like gained points. Like one of them, I think one of them had like a 12, like in the first time, and then they got like a 52. I think passing was a 76 or something.
Yeah, so 76 is passing.
Yeah, and they all did really well, but one of them had a 12 and went up to like a 52 or something. I don't remember if that was Denise or.
Well, remember, she got like a 28 or something like that, and there was no other scores because she never showed up for class.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So, but they all did better. They all gained significantly. So Shoop did come in, and he's like, yeah, they didn't pass, but this is what the scores that they got, which is so significant that they did grant him
tenure. Yeah.
Thank you. I forgot the word.
But that's what I liked about that though too, was the fact that you have a kids that ended up trying their asses off, and then also too, remember they went through the whole entire montage of them studying, even with Chainsaw with the mask on and stuff, and then the nightmare that he had. He goes, so I think it was Dave that had the nightmare, but he goes, what's the answer? I don't know. Yeah,
that was really cute.
Right. But still, I think this movie is still makes me laugh. I still smile every single time I watch it. If it's on TV, it's just one of those things I have to have on the background, even if I'm editing or something.
Right. And it doesn't. The thing about this movie is that it doesn't change a lot when it's on TV because they don't have to cut out there's not a lot of nudity. I don't think there's any nudity. No. There's some swearing, and maybe by today's standards, that gory scene wouldn't even be that gory. So, like, it's really true to form from beginning to end when you watch it on TV.
Exactly.
Like if it's on with commercials or whatever.
So, what would you give this now that we talked about it?
You know what? I think, is it the funniest movie I've ever seen? No. It's one of the funnier 80s movies that I've seen. So it's hard to give it a score, but I would say 7.5 or an 8.
Okay. I'm going to go a little low. I'll just go like a 6.5 out of 10. It's funny. And I wish that, and it has some serious moments in it. And I like those serious moments about, look, let's go on ahead. Let's talk about what it's like to be a teenager and being faced with certain issues, and let's do this. So I wish they would go a little bit deeper with it in a sense. But I'm glad that they actually pulled away from it and actually have some serious moments to where it's like, oh, this is the bigger issue. It's not just the grades. It's their future, or it's someone that's pregnant, or is having a learning disability and the school system just failed them. So you have so much layers within this movie itself.
Right.
And then you can also just put this on in the background, enjoy the movie, have a couple of laughs. But yeah, 6.5 out of 5 for me. So
Fair enough.
my question for you though, Beth, is what do you have going on your podcast and stuff?
Well, so we are about to go into spooky season. So we have decided for October we are going to talk about the original Salem's Lot with David Soul.
Oh,
So,
nice.
and it was a mini series. So we're going to do 2 episodes. Trying to do a mini series in 1 episode, it's too much work. It's too hard to do it, and so we're going to break it up just like they did originally. So I have not seen it in a really long time, so I'm really excited. I've seen the remakes. I think Rob Lowe made one of the remakes, and apparently there was another one. But
Yeah, there was
the original one I haven't seen in probably 30 years.
Let's see, I did the original one a couple years back, and then I did the remake that came. I think it came out like last year. I
want to say it's really recent.
Right, so I did that one last year. But yeah, Salem's Lot is actually one of my favorite horror movies with Stephen King that Stephen King has done, aside from Pet Sematary.
Yeah, I would have I actually really also liked Firestarter. I thought that was really good, and Carrie. So but I would definitely put it up in the top 3 of my favorite Stephen King movies for sure. It's really good. I mean, and he knew how to make a really good TV horror movie.
He really did. Like when It scared the movie It scared the shit out of me.
Oh, the original. I would actually argue, and I have argued that I think it is almost better in some ways than the remake, just because it only could rely on what could be shown on TV, and there weren't as many jump scares. It's a frightening film.
Yeah, the original It is definitely scary. For that time, I remember not wanting to go to the bathroom or go and take a bath because I was afraid that the damn clown was going to pop out of the drain.
Right. So I'm going up north this weekend, and I was thinking about watching it, but we're really remote, and I'm like, I don't think it's a good idea.
No, I don't think so. I'll wait till I get home. But I'll tell you what, though. I'm gonna have I'm gonna have Doom Generation coming in on Thursday, and we're gonna be reviewing the 1993 movie Airborne. So we're gonna do that at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, or 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time for people that live out on the West Coast. I will have Josh Prey on again. I'll have comedian Josh Prey. He's going to be back again.
I can't wait. You really enjoyed him. I'm going to watch that. Yeah, that's awesome.
And we actually did the remake to The Naked Gun. We did a review for that one, for the remake. Now we're doing another thing. He's coming back. He's joining Rossie and I. And matter of fact, that's going to be on... Let me go get my notes. September 10th at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And we're doing a segment called Who Asked for This? It's sequels, remakes, and things like that. And we're like, who asked for this? So that's going to be the thing that we're going to be talking about. I hope that you guys come and tune in and watch that segment. And then I'll have Zoe on probably next month doing Rookie of the Year. You guys voted for that one. So that one came in first place. Summer School came in second because of the fact that something came up with Zoe or whatever. So I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and do Summer School. I want to do a summer movie. Let's do Summer School. So you guys who voted for Summer School, you're welcome. You guys who voted for Rookie of the Year, that's coming in next month. So you're welcome. And also, too, don't forget, we also have Anastasia Elfman joining us, and also my good friend, director Jason Pitts. We do our pre-recorded show for Dexter Resurrection, and we do that on Sundays, and I try to drop them between Monday and Tuesday. Go on ahead, check that out. As a matter of fact, I just dropped the one that we just did for episode 7 and 8. So check that out when you guys get a chance. And that's going to be as far as this show goes. Thank you so much, Beth. I do appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean.
Welcome. And thank you, Chris, for joining me in the live chat over on Instagram. I do appreciate you. And by the way, keep up the amazing work that you're doing as an independent director. You're doing phenomenal things over there. So always until next time, guys, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe button. Please pass your tests, for crying out loud, so that way you don't flunk. So anyways, always until next time. Bye-bye.